Well, welcome friends to Autumn Cottage on the eve of Imbolc, the Irish Gaelic time of in the belly, which may also be related to the Scottish Gaelic Imbolc, the time of the coming in of the ewe's milk, and one of the most hopeful festivals of the Celtic year. It's halfway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, day on which the Celtic goddess Brigid and the Christian Saint Brigid of Kildare both have their feast day. And I celebrate the Celtic Brigid, whose attributes include patronage of the hearth, of healing, of poetry, and the forge. In my research at Winchester, I'm exploring how one can utilise those concepts to encourage human flourishing. Now, I consider the concept of the domestic hearth as a place of warmth where one can sit, speak, and be heard. And I'm also looking at how poetry and other arts are of use in the reforging of a life through a conscious process of change. The old traditions of storytelling are important in this process, so I value the attributes and legends of Brigid as resources which can be harnessed for healing and personal growth. And today I'd like to share with you 3 glimpses of how I will be celebrating Brigid's Day. Firstly, and I hope you can see it, here's a little gift for the summer house which will help to create the soft and sweet atmosphere down here. It helps me to think, and it helps my friends who sit with me here to both speak and feel that they've been heard. It's a little set of bells, appropriate as a gift for Brigid's Day, as they're made of metal, forged by heat and by hand in some far-off place, and I hope you'll hear their sweet sound many times through the coming springtime and summer. It's a set of little chickens, not quite as exact as the pheasants that are actually wandering around the pond, but they'll have to do instead. Secondly, back here in the kitchen, the heart as well as the hearth of the home, here's a little glimpse of the deck of the mothership. This is one of my work surfaces where I keep my dried herbs and oils ready for cooking. The herb garden supplies many of my fresh herbs for most of the year, but in January it's helpful to have these. There are also lots of spices which I can't grow, and I love to experiment, so these regularly get an outing. And this is my obsessively favourite book at the moment. It's called Honey from a Weed, and it's a book written by the cook and food writer Patience Gray as she travelled around Greece and Italy and Catalonia with her partner in the early 1950s. He was a sculptor seeking out good stone, while she made her living as a silversmith, but her great passion seems to have been the local produce wherever she was. Her book details that produce, how it was sourced from the locals, and how it was cooked on the most menial of facilities. She has the gift of being able to transport you to a place, conjure up the scent of the herbs, and yes, also the smell of roasting flesh. But reading this reminded me, as no other book has done, of the pleasures of those little villages, local markets, and simple, wonderful rustic food. And last, but very much not least, a poem. It's the piece of Wild Things by Wendell Berry, one that constantly heals me and soothes my soul. It's perfect poetry for Brigid's Day, if ever there was. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. May you rest in the grace of the world at Imbolc, friends, as she awakens from her winter rest.